Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Very special episode with you today as we are joined by a fellow Napoli fan. Josh, welcome onto the channel.
Cheers, Dom. Thanks very much for having me here. Like I've already spoken to you about, I've been supporting the channel for a long time, watching you for what feels like years. Yeah, real privilege to be here, and obviously happy to talk about Napoli.
So, guys, Josh won the December Napoli Talk Predictor League that we have on Superbru. So he's been getting a few predictions right. Let's see if when we test him towards the end of the video, if he can give us a few pointers on how he thinks Napoli will do. But before we get into that, I want to ask Josh a little bit about, how did you, first of all, where are you from and how did you become a Napoli fan? What brought you to support the blue colors?
Okay, yeah. First of all, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. There's a lot of Italian immigrants there, but um, my my nonno is from Napoli, well, Sorrento, so obviously Napoli fans, but been in Australia for like over 60 years and like I don't even speak Italian properly, so I don't really it's a bit removed. Um, but we still have the family there and I've uh I've visited like 7 or 8 times and been to the stadium 5 times now. So, that's good. Um, Interesting story which I can go for to explain a little bit how I got into supporting Napoli. When I was probably 8 or 9 years old, I started playing football. Um, and the team I played for was used to be called Juventus, and that was yeah, I know it became like outlawed, like wasn't allowed anymore in Australia because there was too many issues with people like copying the European name, so just became Brunswick Zebras, which actually Ange Postecoglou was coaching at one point.
No way.
Anyway, yeah, so when I first came to Italy at like 10 years old, got like a Del Piero Juventus kit, and I rocked up to meet my Italian relatives for the first time, and obviously they were shocked and outraged at the sight of a Juventus kit, and I remember them saying like this house is 400 years old and there's never been a Juventus kit anywhere near here, like so. Yeah, obviously they took me straight to the stadium. We it was a 0-0 Europa League game, but it was still a good enough experience. We got like I had a Hamsik and my brother had a Lavezzi kit, and yeah, never looked back. I've been pretty heavily following Napoli ever since then. More and more, sort of since Saudi, I would say.
Wow.
And yeah,
What a crazy,
yeah,
what a
a bit of
crazy
a funny
story,
story,
man. I'm
and
glad
it's
I'm glad you actually rocked up with a Juventus shirt because, that means that they had to take drastic measures.
yeah,
Whereas if you went in, dressed casually, maybe it would have gone unnoticed that you were deep down a Juventus fan and they wouldn't have
yeah.
corrected
Well,
course.
it's honestly, I'm ashamed. It's embarrassing. It's yeah, it's embarrassing to even share the story, but it's true. And look, to be fair, as a kid, like in Australia, football wasn't very big when I was growing up. More with immigrants now, but mostly like Australian rules football. If any of you guys know about it. So yeah, I had no idea at that point, but it was really good to come full circle and be celebrating Scudetto last year with family. So even like a few days afterwards, like they were still going off. It was insane.
So you were in Naples last year when we won the Scudetto?
Yeah, yeah. So I unfortunately didn't make it in 2023. But yeah, I made it last year. So that
Amazing.
was really good. Yeah.
Amazing. Those are really good moments to do a trip all the way to Europe from Australia. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Obviously,
happen very often, I guess, when you're living so far away to go to Europe, to go to Italy, and yeah, I mean, what better time than when Napoli is lifting the Scudetto?
exactly. exactly. I knew that there was no chance I was going to miss it.
Amazing.
Yeah, obviously very lucky to be able to have the opportunities to do something like that. I obviously didn't get a ticket, but I was outside the stadium for like 9 hours, and it was just the atmosphere. Anyone else who was there, or anyone else who hasn't been there, like if you're a
Yeah,
Napoli
I did
fan,
the
it's
same.
warm up.
I couldn't get tickets, but I flew out. I was outside the stadium. I was banging on the bus when it passed by before it like
Yeah,
the
I was
bus
right there as
entered
well.
the changing rooms. And then right after that, I like ran off to to go watch it with the rest of my family who couldn't get tickets. But yeah, it was just a fantastic time. This year is a little bit different, right? We're a little bit further away from that objective. Tell me,
Unfortunately,
what do you think
yeah,
of the last game, the one against Genoa? Obviously, a bit of a roller coaster game. What's
it was
kind
a
of the
crazy
thing
game.
that stuck with you the most?
Look, to be honest, it was a crazy game. There was obviously a few points that were, I guess, unexpected, but as a Napoli fan, I sort of had this feeling that things were just not going our way. Like when Buongiorno is making these errors, and obviously you spoke about it yesterday on the stream. It's a shame to see, and there's many reasons why that could be happening. But yeah, a lot of things. Like first of all, uh, I love Alex Merritt, but I think that he doesn't fill me with the same confidence. And I think the signing of Anja has been really good this season. That's just from like a personal feeling. Like certain things, I feel like Merritt is a liability, and not too bad. Like I feel like that might be a bit harsh, but one thing to touch on, we were very lucky. We were very lucky. The most obvious thing to point out, which I mean everyone probably feels the same, is the importance of Scott McTominay is insane in terms of just hope. Like when he went off at halftime, I was just like, oh, who are we turning to? Like what have we got? And I did not feel confident of coming out with a win. I think pretty lucky with the late penalty, obviously, and even Rasmus Højlund almost didn't convert it. So yeah, crazy game, and then it just shows sort of how weak our squad is at the moment with the injuries, and especially the bench. Like nothing to offer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it yesterday in the live that the reason why I liked Vergara's performance is because when everybody, when McTominay came off, when Buongiorno made those mistakes, when Juan Jesus got sent off, you're looking at like, okay, who's gonna actually step up? Who's gonna
Mm,
resolve the situation? And he was having a kind of a bad game at that point, but then he had the courage to take the ball, to make runs. He got us the penalty. And as a fan, you end up loving these type of players that when everything seems a little bit bleak, they're the ones that want the ball. And McTominay, for the time that he was on the field, it was exactly like that. Like he was, he had just gotten hurt on his ankle,
yeah,
and he's just like, doesn't matter, give me the ball. I'm gonna shoot it from 30 meters away. Just
what a
a
man.
just a fantastic, just a fantastic signing that we did last year. What about the signings from this winter? What's your view on the fact that also on the fact that we didn't buy any midfielders and we've got Gilmore, Anguissa, De Bruyne, all these guys are still out, and McTominay might be injured. Like what happened there? Why wouldn't we just go and buy a
Yeah,
midfielder for 6 months just in case something were to happen to Lobotka
yeah.
and McTominay, and then it did end up happening. What do you think the reasoning's there?
Very good question. Tom, ask ADL what he thinks the reasoning is behind it, because I can't really see uh, any good answers for that. Like, look, I know that we're pretty tight with the cash, and I usually support that we are like easily the most healthy club financially in Italy. Like you compare us to the other big sides, the fact that we're winning Scudetti is pretty incredible with our outgoing expenditure basically. But having this money, having had these wins, I was hoping for a little bit more of an injection. And we've had a lot of loan moves going out. Why couldn't we get some more players in on loan for 6 months or whatever? Because like I can understand if we don't want to bring in big, expensive midfielders when we know that we've got all these players eventually coming back. But yeah, it's disappointing because look, Giovane, like you said yesterday on the stream, I mean, I haven't been impressed either from what I've seen. I'm obviously always willing to give someone a chance, and same with Andre Santos. Haven't seen him at all yet. I haven't even seen much of his highlights, so I don't really know what to expect yet. Um, and the fact that we've only just uncovered Begara, like I've seen him in preseason games, but like not much, and it's kind of hard to make that analysis from preseason to real games, basically. But yeah, it's been amazing to see and really good that Conte actually kept him on because that was the difference maker in the end yesterday,
Yeah.
like you touched on. But yeah, overall, just a bit disappointed with that, with the just the general transfer business in the winter. The summer was better, I would say. Like getting in De Bruyne and Hoyland last minute. Hoyland was has ended up to be a really good signing in my opinion. I don't think we could have expected much more from him considering he was pretty slated at Man United. Uh, and yeah, I've been impressed with his physical presence. Happy with the outgoings. I was shocked to see Lorenzo Luca going. Like I know that it's an option and 40 million option as well. I was shocked. So let's just pray that he can work in Forest. Personally, I don't see it, but if anyone can do it, it's Sean Dyche. So faith there. And then even Noah Lang, like yeah, he wasn't what we were hoping for either, but he wasn't the worst player overall, and he's still a man in there. So like, I would feel better bringing Noah Lang yesterday than Giovanni, for example. And so yeah, well, you could say that, but basically, why wasn't someone else brought in? Why?
Yeah, and hearing Conte after the game, he said a phrase like, in the future, we're all gonna have to study very well what happened with our squad composition. Almost
Mm.
trying to be like, guys, like why, why don't we have more midfielders? Like, who brought these guys on? So, do you think that there might be a little bit of a blame game going on, or do you think that maybe Conte is not getting involved in those kind of discussions? I mean, I would find it strange that Conte is not choosing the players, but what if that's the case? Is there a problem with how we select players? Like, are these not the players Conte wanted? Did Conte not want Noah Lang? Did Conte not want Giovane? Like, what's going on
Yeah,
here? Like, do you
I
have a theory
definitely
on what this is all about?
look. Yeah, a few things. Look, I definitely feel like there's a disconnect. Um, I was when Conte came in, I was sort of expecting him to be backed a little bit more, considering his history has always been backed everywhere he's gone, more so than he's been at Napoli so far. Um, yeah, look, overall, I think that Mana has the potential to find us some good players. Like I have some hope. Not maybe not up to what we were seeing from Juntuli prior, but yeah, like you said, I think there is a problem at the club a little bit between Conte and ADL because yeah, I doesn't seem like they've fully been on the same page, and we would have expected to have or more influence from Conte. Like he should realistically should be picking the players he wants, and he should be backed because he's clearly one of the best coaches in Italy, at least, or in the world in history. So he needs to be backed, and he's already shown it, like what he can do. So, yeah, it's a tricky one, and I don't know how we expect it to compete. Like you see Juventus and Milan like spending all this crazy money on basically bench players, and it's like we just three of the guys on the bench the other week, I've never even like heard of them. No, seriously,
Yeah, yeah,
like
no,
there's
but
no,
it's true. It's true. Yeah, yeah, it's true. No, it's crazy, and now they're saying that Anguissa has a problem on his back that the doctors don't know how to solve. I mean, I wonder just how long we're gonna be in this situation without midfielders, and then it seems like we're losing players along the way in other positions as well, if not physically, at least mentally. With I don't know what's going on with Buongiorno and Juan Jesus recently. Like Juan Jesus was so solid, and now it's been a few games that he's also been a bit of a liability. Buongiorno, I feel like this season he's cost
yeah,
us big time, like big games like the PSV game, and other moments in the Serie A. So, yeah, not easy, not easy. But I want to move on to a different topic now, because I guess with Conte, I mean, it's like I would ask you, okay, so who should Conte field? No, but I think he's only got 11 players anyways,
yeah,
so there's no
you're
point
right.
in even asking that. So let's move
We could
on to
talk about it all
something
day, like with the
outside
building, but
of the let's say 11 players that we have at our disposal, and let's go a little bit beyond. Let's zoom out a little bit to the stadium, because it was big news this week, guys, that the Comune di Napoli, so like the city council of Naples, has agreed to a substantial amount of budget to basically redo the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, some kind of restyling that will be done in parallel as the team plays. So they'll close certain sections of the stadium bit by bit, and what they'll do is they'll take away the lower ring and kind of extend the current second ring all the way down to get a little bit more space. They'll also open up the third ring to get 10K more seats. I'll show you guys a little bit some photos of what that will look like. So, look, on the left is the current stadium with the athletic track. And then on the right, we will see what it will look like. Here's actually exactly how it is now. So you see that the curva B and curva A are like 40 meters away from the field, and even the distinti at the top and tribuna at the bottom are like 30 or 20 meters away. And in the new stadium, they will be 12 meters away, and from 40 meters away, the curvas will be 27 meters away. So we'll gain about 15 meters kind of all round, which if you're American, it's like, what is it, 45 feet, something like that. So I think that's a significant improvement. And here you see how they plan to do it. So they plan to just bring down those seats all the way, and get rid of the lower ring. My question to you, Josh, is do you think this will work? Like, do you think that this will actually improve how the viewing experience is at the stadium? Do you think that we'll be getting a better home advantage from this, or is this still not an ideal solution? Like, should we have just, gone and done a new stadium completely?
yeah, okay. No, look, I'm gonna treat this as a positive and come at it from a positive aspect because, look, first of all, we have to understand that we don't own the stadium. Like, and we don't have the same sort of freedom that a lot of other clubs do with that. And that is also a big expenditure to like go and build a stadium, like people spending 1 billion, you know. So I just can't really see that happening for us. And I feel like this is good, welcome news because it's somewhat lucky as well because it's like you said, the community of Napoli that is investing. Well, I'm sure that De Laurentiis would have been working on this with them for many years, probably trying to get this happening. And I'm sure there's some sort of financial agreement uh, for the club to also chip in. Um, Look, like I said, I think it's overall a positive to have a bit of a facelift. It doesn't seem like the changes are going to be massive, but I feel like if the stadium like gets some upgrades inside and out, that could be great. I think that having like what seems to be one big extended stand instead of like the divided stands could could hopefully work as a for the curvers especially to maybe have better choreography or flags. One thing I did think about with that is it will be sad to see the second level tier removed basically because that's where we see all the banners. Like I always look out for like the banners from like uh Meta di Sorrento, which is like where my family's from, and then always see it like just over the other side of Caribbean. So that for me will be like weird to see that gone. I guess it will just get pushed down to like right on the pitch. But as we know, the visibility is not great already, and so I don't know if this is going to be able to address it to make that better. The only way I could imagine that happening would be to like bring the whole field level down, which I just don't see them doing that. That seems like a big job. But like yeah, it's already like I've watched Napoli games with friends, and they were like, "Oh, look, the stadium's like empty," and I'm like, "Oh, well, no, just like no one actually can sit is there because you can't see shit." Like, and if you've been in the stadium, you'll get it. But when you're watching on TV, a lot of the time that whole front area is empty, or like it's only the back of the first level that fills up. So hopefully they can solve that. The thing is, it's interesting because this would supposedly get rid of our moat, our famous moat. So whether we're going to have more Napoli fans as pitch invaders, that could be something to expect. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that. And also, not just the moat, there's this big barrier, which is so if that was removed, I think this is great news. What do you think, Dom?
So I have mixed feelings about it. Potentially, the viewing experience will be better, even though I feel like you are still so far away. Like, still being, 15 meters away is it's not little. So I wonder how well they will be able to actually see. But look, I'm open to try it also because, it's not like it's great now. And I think it's very hard to make it worse. I mean, it would be
Exactly. Yeah.
quite an achievement if they somehow make it worse. I'm sure they studied this in great detail and they can maybe have a better opinion on that than me. They probably did some like simulations and stuff like that. What I think is a little bit of a shame is that we'll have to close some sections of the stadium as this gets done. Like I imagine, let's say in 2 years' time, we have to close the Curva B for 6 months. I
Yeah, it's pretty
mean,
bad.
that I, I'm thinking about the impact that that will have on the team. Where do you put the ultras in that period of time? Like this will be a bit of a challenge. But yeah, I just wonder if maybe okay, if the decision was let's stay in the Maradona, then uh, I would have basically said okay, fine, we're gonna have to close sections of it anyways. Let's just tear down the entire like structure that we have, and bit by bit we tear down the entire curva and we bring it right onto the field. Like, why are we doing things halfway? Why are we only tearing down the bottom layer? Just tear down the entire thing, bring it forward 15 meters, and yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that sounds great. But again, we have to remember that it's we don't actually own it. We don't have the freedom. I think you're right, 100%. If you have aspirations for Napoli to be following like the biggest clubs in Europe, then we're never gonna sort of reach that level uh, across a lot of things, but also just in terms of fan experience or yeah, so many things, we would need that.
I feel like they're never gonna resolve this thing, and we're gonna be 20 years without a stadium of our own property and without it. training grounds. I just want to now close off the discussion with, we're talking about the future, maybe a very long-term future, because this is for Euro 2032. Let's bring it back to a bit closer to the present. What's your prediction for Napoli this season? Um, are we gonna make top four? Are we not? Because the fans wanna know your views on that. Being a master predictor and everything.
First of all, I think the master predicting was a bit of fluke. Since I heard my name in your video, I was shocked. I was like, been paying a little bit more attention to it now. Um, okay, look, I have to back Napoli, right? To make top four. So I would expect us to be still in the top four race till the end of the season. I'm concerned considering how light our squad is and some of the problems we've been having with all over the field that we could definitely miss out. So yeah, it's going to be tight, especially with the other teams that are coming back up now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I still back us to make top four. I would be a real shame to miss out again uh, after finishing 10th. And we haven't had very good Champions League history, so it would be good for us to actually have a proper go. I remember being so hopeful with Cavara and Osimhen when we had that run in 2023, and we just had to beat Milan and then Inter. And of course, it was devastating. But yeah, like you said, it's pretty embarrassing for us to go out of the Champions League so early, and it's not a good look for the club on the international standing. So that's another thing. Like the stadium, we're never going to be at the same level as like I don't expect us to be, but look at Tottenham Stadium, like incredible.
Yeah.
I haven't been there, but and then even now, I was lucky to go to the San Siro this season for Milan Napoli game. Happy to see it before it seems like they're going to be demolishing and redoing that as well. So yeah, I get what you're saying with the stadium, and I think overall for like the club's level, there's still a long way to go for us to level up. But yeah, I'm hopeful for top four. Uh, yeah, I'm not confident, but I'm always hopeful.
Perfect. Guys, so that is everything from us here today. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Let's see if by the end of the season, Josh will be right. In the meantime, man, thank you for joining this video. And as always, guys, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.